Hello, this is author Debra Parmley, and this is the story of how I came to write my first novel. The year was 2001, and I was attending the Ozark Creative Writers Conference in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. This was my third or fourth year to attend, and I'd had some success winning contests with short stories and poetry. I'd had success in other areas, winning contests and even having some of them published. But I had never attempted a novel because they just seemed too large. Back then, to submit a romance novel to a publisher, you needed it to be 100,000 words. Now that's a lot of words, especially as compared to a short story. So I hadn't attempted it. Dusty Richards, who was a Western author with many books out and an agent and a publisher, issued a challenge to all of us there. He said, "Write your first novel, make it a Western, enter my contest next year, and if you win, my agent will read your entire manuscript." Well, that was a great challenge, and it was too good to pass up. So, of course, I rose to that challenge, and I wrote the book. In 2002, when I returned, Dusty was no longer with his agent, so that window of opportunity was no longer open. However, Dusty sat with me and went over the manuscript, and he suggested changes, and he gave a gift of his time and support and encouragement. So I came away a winner anyway. Now, during this time, I was critiquing with a group of folks in Memphis who met at Pat Smith's house. Now, Pat Smith was Robin Williams' sister-in-law, and she had 2 parrots, so it was a lively and interesting group. And in that group was Elvis's former estate attorney and also my friend Bob. Bob was an elderly gentleman who wore an eye patch, and he had worked as a newspaper editor, and he had also flown a plane to Cuba back in the day. So the stories were fascinating, and the people were as well. And this was the atmosphere in which I created Gone to Texas, which was the original title of the book you know today as A Desperate Journey. And I'll say more about that in just a bit. So I created this book, came home, knew I needed to revise it, went back to critique group. But now I had a romance, not a Western historical romance. So I needed to learn what to do with it. It just happened that the local RWA group, which is Romance Writers of America, had a conference that year. And this wasn't a regular thing for them. So there was a certain amount of serendipity and fate coming into play, I believe. It was unusual for them to have a conference, but it was advertised, and I saw it, and I said, "Oh, I have a romance. I need to go to this." So I walked in, I registered, knew nothing about them at all, hadn't had time to research it. They said, "Do you want an agent appointment?" Well, yes. "Do you want an editor appointment?" Well, yes. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. So I went to my appointments and I pitched the book, and they both requested the manuscript based on my pitch. They requested a partial. Well, I was very green, very new, and I didn't know what that was, so I had to ask what a partial was. A partial is the first 3 chapters of your book along with a synopsis. And this is what agents and editors would accept. So, all right, I knew what to do then. but I hadn't broken my manuscript into chapters yet. I'd written it from start to finish. I didn't know how to break it into chapters. So, green as I was, I asked the editor how many pages should be in a chapter. And you should have seen the look on her face. She knew then she had a green author that didn't know how to do that. So I came home and I created the partials and sent them out. And of course they were rejected because the manuscript wasn't quite ready yet. It wasn't time. It needed more polishing. I needed to learn how to write a polished enough manuscript to be published. This was part of the process back in 2001 up until indie publishing. So I came home ready to work on it again. I joined the local RWA group and met other romance authors, and 4 of us formed a critique group: Susan, Dee, and Elaine, and me. We met and went over our romance novels. Susan Bowles and I became best friends, and we remain best friends to this day. We still meet once a month for lunch, which is wonderful. And she's writing mysteries now. So we polished these books, and one day Susan said, "You know, the RT convention is in St. Louis. How about we try that out? Let's go see what that is all about." Now, RT is Romantic Times magazine, and Romantic Times Book Lovers magazine, the name has changed some over the years, puts on a conference every year. It is an incredibly large conference with readers and with authors and editors and agents and publishers. It's huge. So we went up there to check it out. Now, when we registered, I saw that there was a contest. And this contest was put on by Bobby Smith, who was and is a Western historical romance author. And her tagline read, "Queen of the Western Romance." So what better contest to enter this manuscript in? So I did. To my surprise, it took 3rd place. And I was called up on the stage and met Bobby. And afterward, she sat with me and told me, "Debra, your story starts in chapter 3. Carve away chapter 1 and 2 and start your story here." So I came home and I did that and polished it again. Now, about the time I had this done, there was another contest, and I entered the manuscript in the American Title 2. American Title was a contest put on by RT Magazine and Dorchester Publishing, with authors competing for one publishing contest, and it was run similar to American Idol on TV. This contest had readers vote online, and every month 2 of us were kicked off the island. I made it up through the 2nd round before getting kicked off the island, and after that landed an agent. A year later, he sold my book to Samhain Publishing. Now, by this time, I had changed the title and had gone from calling it Gone to Texas to A Desperate Journey. There are some reasons for that, and the major reason for that is that the story A Desperate Journey is about Sally Wheeler. She comes home to find a note pinned to her front door with a knife, and the note says, "Gone to Texas." Her husband has left her on a failing Kansas farm just days before the bank is ready to auction it. And he's taken their son and left her alone there with her daughter. She has no idea where he's gone. And she can't even read the note because Sally doesn't know how to read. So she has to have the pastor read it to her. That's the beginning of the story. And that's why I chose that title initially. However, I changed it because the story is not really about her husband. This is Sally's story. And it is a desperate journey for her to travel from Kansas to Texas along the old Chisholm Trail to get her son back. So I retitled it A Desperate Journey, and this is the story you know today. Now, Samhain published the book in 2008 in ebook and then in 2009 in print. And here is the original copy with the original cover. This book was on contract for 7 years. They brought it out. Their publishing motto was to bring the books out in ebook first and then 6 months later in print because they sold more ebooks that way. So it came out. It ran through a 7-year contract, and when it was off contract, I asked for revision of rights and I republished it. Now by this time, indie publishing was in swing and I was able to republish it. It's now out with a new cover through my publishing company, Bellodia Publishing Incorporated, and it's out in ebook and in print. I had to make a new cover because publishers own the copyright to their covers. And there's a little bit of glare. Let's see if I can move this. Well, there we go. Get the glare off of it. So I was able to add the daughter on the cover. I was able to have the heroine shooting. There's a scene where she learns how to shoot. So that's the book you will find today if you go looking for it. Everywhere books are sold, in ebook and in print. Now, there are a few things I want to add. The first is that Dusty Richards passed last week. He's now on the blazing trails in the sky, and he's greatly missed. I'm very thankful for the time that he spent with me, telling me how to make this book better. I'm very thankful and grateful for his challenge, without which I would not have been able to write this book. My experiences on this publishing journey would not have been the same if not for Dusty Richards. So I want to say thank you, Dusty. Rest in peace. Enjoy those happy trails. You will always be remembered. I will always be thankful. Now for my readers, I want to thank you for watching this first of the author life videos on my Beautiful Day channel here on YouTube, and invite you to subscribe. I will be offering other slices in the life of Debra Parmley, along with advice for authors, updates on my books. I'll even be reading sections of my book. In fact, I will be following this video with another video, and I'll read a section of A Desperate Journey for you. So thank you for your time, And please subscribe, share, like, and let me hear from you. I enjoy hearing from all of you. You can also follow me on debraparmley.com and on other social media. And now I'd like to wish each and every one of you a beautiful day and remind you that every day we are alive is a beautiful day.